Quebec. It's right around 12 o'clock. I see many people have started to join, but typical fashion, whenever we use one of these services, it takes a little bit to get involved, get loaded, particularly if you're new. So I'm just going to go silent for about another minute or two and then get back to everyone and start the session. So again, appreciate you joining on time, but let's give everyone about another minute, minute and a half to join. Thank you. Hello, this is Ralph again. We're going to wait about another 30 seconds and then we'll get started. Okay, this is Ralph Quebec. I have about 12:02 and a half. Appreciate everyone joining on time and appreciate those who just are joining and maybe a few more that are joining as the go-to meeting and everything gets updated. Appreciate you attending today. And we're going to go through something that we're pretty excited for in terms of moving both our solution, quality, and everything forward. And that's related to digital records, batch records, a number of different things that people call them. The agenda, we're just going to talk about the challenges that are out there in what we've been seeing over the years in a number of customers and prospects. We want to introduce you to electronic batch records as we have defined them and show how it works within the Acumatica process manufacturing solution, PMS. And then we're going to actually look at the software and have a scenario relate to orange juice, and then we'll look at some cases in terms of electronic batch records. So that's what we're going to cover. Most people know my name and face, Ralph Kubek. Been around eWorkplace apps since we started the relationship with Acumatica well, over 6 years ago. And we've made a lot of progress both with process, quality, and some other things that we're doing with them. And I don't have my camera on today, but as I joke with everyone, I have a face made for radio. Um, this whole idea of digital batch records going digital, the challenges, right? Everything is manual and very much disconnected in many cases. We have clients that are in food, cosmetics, drugs. In some cases, when they go ahead and ship an item that's produced. They have a book of information that they need to send with it, and it's test forms and it's checklists. It's information with regards to the material that you used, and it takes hours, in some cases days, to gather all that material up. Uh, there's no real-time visibility to what's going on. In many cases, there's gaps as it relates to the traceability and compliance effort. And again, it's very time consuming to go through and find all the documents, make certain that they are all properly filled out, get them together, scan them, do whatever you need to do. So, there's this shift as it relates to digitizing everything. Have a standard way to execute, have real-time visibility. Did something get done or not, and who did it and when they did it. Full traceability in terms of not only uh, the products that were used, but also all the procedures that were handled. It needs to be easy to access. It needs to be highly configurable. And it needs to capture all the data that we need in one unified record. Um, and have one digital record that would avoid you going along and finding 200 pieces of paper and all putting those together. From documents to records, right? Traditional that records are kind of static. With digital, we could have the instructions be interactive, the data is captured real time, and it's actually the operators that are putting the details in, and we're actually getting results on a real time basis, the way they enter into the system, yet put them in a electronic file where we could have that single complete electronic batch record. Um, how did we do this? Is we step into the product in a few minutes. For ever since the start of our work with Acumatica, related to both process manufacturing and quality, we were headed toward a digital way to accumulate records and have data. Right, we have checklists, so we could begin to document what did people do when they started the process, etc. We also always had the capability to do tests. Did items pass? But there is also this need to combine all this into one area, as well as there is always some other information that need to get added. As you'll see on the screen, and we'll look at in a second, people need to say what their name was. What the piece of equipment they were working on. They need to record dates and times. And we worked with ourselves and a little bit with Acumatica. We always had the capability of having boilerplate instructions, and we changed that technology to be rich text format, HTL, so that there is a place to house information, ways to collapse that information or gather that information using general inquiries, and ways to enter that information in far more easily. It does allow operators to execute and put in the inputs, and the quality checks are there as the actual work is performed and does updates, etc. And this is all built really around this concept that we have rich text and what we've done to our boilerplate instructions, which we'll talk about. The example that we're going to talk about orange juice is, right, we have raw materials, we need to document what raw materials we're going to use. We also need to document what raw materials we actually used, as relates to lot numbers, expiration dates, etc. We have processes to go through, right? We do different things at the extraction, filtration, and packaging steps. And there's quality at each one of those stages, and they need to be combined into a record. And it all starts with instructions, quality control, material transactions, all getting into a single document. And this document is over on the right side. This is a document that uh, we will provide. However, I think what we have really done is provide a tool set, um, a framework for people to do this work on with, because many people have different forms of manufacturing records. In some cases, they actually have multiple based upon the product, etc., that they're providing. A question will probably come up at the end in terms of where the product is and the state. So I'll answer it now, and they'll probably come up with a question. We are working on a proactive basis with a couple of users to deploy this solution. It is a solution that is offered, if I could use that term, as part of just the acquisition of process manufacturing and quality management. It is not a separate and distinct product offering where you would need to buy uh, the electronic back records functionality, etc. It's there in terms of where the product is. This all did come into place with 25R2 because that's where we've made some changes in terms of what we're doing with boilerplate. The other question I'll be asked is, while we needed and want to do this, particularly for our clients that are in food, cosmetics, nutraceuticals, and drugs. We know there's a need for this in hard good manufacturers, medical device manufacturers, and as of today, it is not on a roadmap to move the technology that's allowing us to do this into a core Acumatica discrete module or capability. As people know, we work very, very closely with Acumatica, so it's being periodically discussed when and how the core functionality would be moved into the core product without process manufacturing is something that we need to work on, talk through with Acumatica. So the bottom line is this technology that we're talking about right now, and this is all based upon is strictly related to when a user has the Acumatica process manufacturing solution, as well as quality management. A caveat there is that as many of our users have discrete functionality as part of their operation. We have some customers that make soap and make soap dispensers. They actually produce those soap dispensers using the Acumatica process manufacturing solution because it does support discrete manufacturing capability. So there's a user that might someday move into master manufacturing records for the discrete things they sell, but that's because they're using the process manufacturing piece to build those. Again, a little bit more later as we go through that. Um, our focus is to digitalize all the information that you're accumulating with regards to batch records, manufacturing records, standard operating procedures, inspection records, sanitation and cleaning, SDS sheets, and more. A lot of this has already been done through the core functionality that we offer. The focus of this session is really the technology we deploy to be able to do these BMRs and MMRs as part of the process. So with that, I'm going to change screens. People who know me well and have attended these, this is the most feared point that I have because I always want to make certain that I do this in a way where people could begin to actually see the right data. So I'm going to go in and I believe everyone, and I just got a thumbs up from one of our associates that our friends, coworkers that's on the call got a thumbs up. You now see an Acumatica screen. I'm going to go into a particular formula. As we talked about, we're going to talk about orange juice and describe a little bit of what was in Acumatica and then what we have done to begin to indicate that we could support batch records. What has always existed within the Acumatica framework is the ability for, at every process step to define the test that we're going to do for an item. This is a single step routing, which we're going to go through today as we go through the conversation. This technology is still being rolled out and refined, and I'll talk about multi-step routings in a second, because that's an area of focus for us still in terms of getting this to work in a smooth and precise manner. But we've always had that capability to be able to indicate what tests that were going to be done at each individual phase. We're also always able to have boilerplate in checklists. For this demo, I've just combined them into one, indicating that we need to check, was the machine clean, is it sanitized, etc. So we always had that core capability within Acumatica and built out in terms of what we've done. I'm going to go into Acumatica now, and I'm going to create a batch ticket, and I'm going to make a mixed batch, and I'm going to use this orange juice as an example, and I'm going to make my intermediate, and I'm going to make 100 gallons of this. I'm going to save this, and I'm now going to release this into production. Um, at this point, nothing has changed in terms of the capability that we're providing to customers, users as it relates to both quality and process control, etc. Now, the difference is if we look at our formula, we now have this boilerplate capability. Think of this boilerplate and instructions as very similar in terms of what we did. However, we always had some capability to have a file. And now what we've done in terms of a boilerplate instruction, we now have a template. This is a template that we've created, but for moving things over, we're working with customers that in some cases had these items in Word, had these items in Excel, and were able to import this because this is really just I'm going to say a document or a file. And it starts out with the information that you might have used when you created one of these manually, right? A blank piece of paper with some information on it as it relates to what the batch number, the item number is, the part number is, who might have started this. And in these cases, some instructions that you're always going to have on it. We're going to talk a little bit about this as it relates to checklists and instructions that you're going to be able to see. But think of being able to build this manufacturing record, master manufacturing record, and that's what I'll try to use the rest of the session, MMR, the way you have it today in this format that people cut, paste, and add things to. Important to note, and you'll see these codes here, and people know Saatchi and Ani and Ablash, Abhishek, all of the people that know a lot more about this and the technology behind it. But you could see that we have some static data in here, right? A pre-formatted report. You begin to see some information here as it relates to linkages. So these are linkages. They're actually just Acumatica generic inquiries, could be SQL inquiries, so that as we process the data that many of you who use the process manufacturing system to do today in terms of issuing material, filling out checklists, doing QC tests, etc., are used to filling out. And these generic inquiries are just out there. So we built those so that as we process this information as we go through, we're continuing to update this document, this form, and you're going to see how we have a complete record. So this is, to some extent, the secret sauce that we have added to the core Acumatica process manufacturing solution. Just this capability for someone to have a area where they could put in the form that they want to be completed, put in all the standard things that are not going to change on that form, and then begin to indicate the other data that belongs on this form that will be populated or entered into from other areas of Acumatica. I do want to point out where what we're working on with a couple customers right now, and we have a couple ideas, a couple solutions in mind, and that is under the standard. When we started this, you could see that that in process manufacturing we have routings, different process steps, and we begin to see and you begin to know that we have boilerplate that is tied to a specific operation. Well, in many of our clients' cases, when I make this, it goes through operation 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And each one of those operations has a boilerplate checklist, right? I do something when I'm initially blending the product, and then I do another set of procedures when I put it into a mixer or something else. So right now, we could put all of these boilerplate instructions on one step. We're working to make certain that when we have multiple boilerplate instructions spread throughout the routing, there's an easy way to combine all of those. The other piece that we're working on is we understand that in some cases, these MMR records, I'm making this orange juice. Let's pretend it's some type of mixed orange juice, but I might have had and as we call an intermediate of orange juice and lemonade that I'm mixing. We understand that some of the MMRs need to look at not only what I did to make this orange juice, but what I needed to do in making the prior intermediate. All the linkages are there because of lot numbers, etc. So we're still working on how we consolidate that into one record. But maybe rather than say what the product's not doing now, well, let's focus on where we're at, and then you'll better understand some of the changes that we're making. So where we're at right now, you'll enter in tests, you'll enter instructions, just like you do with Acumatica. Today, you'll have process instructions, and then we will work with you, your partner will work with you in order to get this template record in, identify what's fixed, and then begin to put in all those variables. So what does this mean? I'm going to go in and I've already released this item. And now I'm going to go into quality management. I'm going to go into my wrong place, process manufacturing. I think I've been playing around with my system, so I have some boilerplate transactions. Let's make certain that as we're doing this, we're looking at all the right records. So I have this batch ticket 11106 that we just created. I'm going to go into process manufacturing, and I'm going to go into our boilerplate instructions. And this is for batch number 116. So today, what could someone do within Core Acumatica? We could always have had this question of a production ticket. So I'm going to go in and I can indicate the time that I am doing this. I'm then able to go in and answer some additional questions, standard things that we have been doing within Acumatica the whole time. I'm going to go in here and save this, and I'm going to go ahead and complete this item. I'm also going to evaluate this item, another step in the procedure that we have as it relates to being certain that we can create these master device records. Now I'm going to go back into that batch ticket, and I'm going to go in to do my move command. Right, I did. Yeah, I'm going to do a move. I'm going to want to release this. Quality is embedded into that. So again, just like in standard Acumatica now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at my in-process QC orders. I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to indicate that what my values are, right? I'm going to say this is 6.5, and I'm going to indicate that this is 4. Standard ways that we have now done and people are used to filling out our checklist, our QC forms, and I'm going to post and I'm going to evaluate. That all continues to happen exactly the same way that you're used to seeing it. I'm going to go now back to this batch ticket, and I'm going to go into my formula. I'm going to go into my batch record. And I'm going to go into the document. What do we begin to see now? Remember when we first went into this record, it was blank. There was nothing on it other than the standard template. We went in through some of our boilerplate and instruction capability, and I was asked to indicate some time and date information. I indicated the lot size that I was doing. Remember, we assigned both the item number as well as the batch record. We knew what material needed to be issued, and Now we could begin to get some information out to the actual information we went out now. Remember, we had that in-process inspection form. And this is just indicating that the actual results passed or failed. But now I could actually see the actual results that were published. Think of this again being a generic inquiry that's going to display for you exactly the information that you need. And you could begin to see that the QC order numbers are there. So the goal we have in terms of creating the master batch record, again, is that you'll begin to go into Acumatica, begin to build out the tests at each of the individual steps that you are doing now. You will then be able to embed in those tests or embed into each of those routings, each of the different tests that we're going to do. You'll continue to build your boilerplate instructions, signing off on those things that I want to record again or answer to the same way that you did before. And as you're going through that process, we'll also issue material. And remember these general inquiries, right? Some of this is just part of Acumatica. If we issued material, which I didn't yet, we're going to actually get information within the Acumatica database for the lot numbers, et cetera, that we so chose. The end result of this, in terms of what we've done to boilerplate instructions, is that you will have created your framework, your prototype for a master accounting record, a batch master record, whatever you want to call it. And then now we are able to, using the capability that we have within the Acumatica framework, to enter in those details. We now could begin to populate this. So the end result is no longer, if you're using Acumatica today, process manufacturing, what would I have done? Well, whenever I did those QC tests, I would have gone in and I would have printed these in-process orders. I'd have this QC order, and I would have gone ahead and printed one of these forms, right? A release label, a QC order, and I'm just going to print a certificate of analysis, right? That has that data on there. And I wouldn't have been able to print that out and put it into a file. I would have gone in and I would have gone in and entered in my information I wanted on boilerplate instructions, and it would have told me I was completed, and I would have printed out this form with those details. Now, again, having changed the makeup and function of the boilerplate transactions, we can now have a document where we are importing that data live. So rather than you going through the day and finding all the QC orders, all the checklists, as long as they're all properly linked in the data, we will begin to fill out or complete this form with you. And again, this will be your form. The end of the day, we have a complete form that is now consolidated all the disparate information that we have entered into Acumatica: material issues, material moves, QC checklists, QC orders, etc., into one. So that's what we're doing. That's what we have done. I've mentioned that's what we need to refine as it relates to continue to build this out, continue to put more features into this capability of creating this template. Think of partners. Part of what partners will be doing for end users and end users will do in yourself is these are all Acumatica generic inquiries. So you'll begin to look at that data and you'll be able to create those generic inquiries, generic views of data that you want to have in this report. The data is there, and then you'll format this report. Notice that what we've done in ours is we've just also brought in the event history indicating when batch tickets are. So that's what we've done, and that's the framework that we have put together to allow people who use process manufacturing to have one consolidated picture of everything that happened. And I'm going to click again, everything that happened for that particular item. And I keep clicking at the wrong place. Sorry about that. That's why it's not filled in. But if I look at the right place, it's filled in. The other one's still that template. Again, there's some work to be done. We're working on the generic inquiries to refine them. We also are working with, again, a couple of clients that I think are on the phone saying, okay, how do we create this master batch record in the most efficient way when we know an item is going through multiple operations? So we would actually want to have 2 or 3 boilerplates, right? We want a boilerplate instructions to say what we're doing in mixing, what we're doing in blending, on separate boilerplates that we need to combine. We're working through that. The other thing, again, that we're working through is that we know that one of these items that we might have issued, orange juice, it might have had a COA and tests done on that raw material orange juice, and we're working through the ability to populate that data. We know we can because it's all there, but we just need to refine the process. So that's what we've done. We think it's a little bit revolutionary, might not be the right word, but we do really think this is beginning to add some power and efficiency into what Acumatica is doing. Just think of those people today that are creating these electronic batch records and want to see all this in one place, how much time you were spending gathering all that data. It was always in Acumatica, but now we've given you a framework to put it on one place, and maybe as importantly, is this becomes your document, your format. And just like when I've gone into this ingredients place, I just have some basic information. Did it pass? Did it fail? But again, you'll be able to print out what or fill in. Print out is a bad term. Using generic inquiries, you'll be able to build in what you want in this particular area. So somewhat simplistic, but I think a groundbreaker in terms of taking, again, some of the things that used to take our clients 2 or 3 hours to find out, staple together, scan, and put in one file is now being digitally collected. And that's maybe a good term to use, right? We have tests, we have checklists. All we're doing now with the boilerplate capabilities, allowing you to collect all that data in one electronic file or form, and then print out, and you could begin to provide that to the both your customers in terms of your authorities that you need to report to. So that's what we have. Again, we're working with a couple of customers who I think are here, and we are, I think, making good progress. We still have a couple of those hurdles to come over, but again, from a simple aspect, simple one-step operation, you could do it today. Today, if you actually wanted to have 3 or 4 operations, and suddenly you wanted to make your boilerplate just be for each of the individual operations on one operation on one boilerplate, it'll work. Again, we're using to combine those boilerplate instructions. The key thing is create checklists, create QC orders, issue material, do all your orders in Acumatica now with, again, the changes that we've done to the boilerplate. It could all be processed into one large file. See if there's any questions coming through. The question is electronic signatures available? The answer is I'm I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say yes in 2 regards. What we have talked to a couple of customers about is one form of electronic signatures. I am not saying this is one form, which Acumatica could do today, is that once I get out this form, this document, I can now send this form to PDF or one of those writers, and I could begin to use DocuSign, etc., to sign this document. Kind of the current way that Acumatica handles that as it relates to, I'm going to use the term, not embedded electronic signatures, the ability to print a form, sign electronically, and put it away. We are working with a partner where as we go into each one of these operations, and I'm going to go back to, let's say, this QC order that we have. Let me find it. We are working with a partner that has a solution that as we go ahead and actually approve, this one's been approved already, right? But we know we have to approve this. We are working with a partner that has I'm going to say, true electronic signature capability, that when you would click approve here using the standard Acumatica workflow, it will trigger an event. There'll be a pop-up message here indicating that you need to sign. And then in true FDA e-signature capability, the control of the signature has to be separate and distinct from the control of my user rights in Acumatica. So what that's going to allow me to do as a user, have security within Acumatica, to go in here and post this. Then it'll create an event. That event will open up within the Acumatica framework, an electronic signature pad. That electronic signature pad is going to be controlled by a security model outside the core Acumatica. And then what will happen here is a pop-up, and then I'll be able to sign within the context of Acumatica, sign that off. So again, can you handle e-signatures today? Yes, with the methodology that Acumatica now uses, which is print, sign through Adobe or some farm, and fill that out. Within the next, I'm not going to commit, but I think within the next 6 to 9 months, maybe sooner, we will work with a partner that will be able to embed that. When we click this button, you'll be able to have a pop-up. Since it is working on the Acumatica workflow events trigger system, approval maps, whatever term you might want to use within Acumatica, what that means is that electronic signature then is going to be able to be configurable by you, by partners, by end users, because it's just going to be another type of an event that Acumatica triggers. So a long-winded answer is it relates to, is electronic signatures available today to print out that MMR that we have and sign it electronically and save it? The answer is it's there today using the technology. Will it be there? Not, I don't want to say tomorrow, but in the near future, to do that all digitally within Acumatica? The answer is yes, as well as be able to have electronic signatures when we issue material, approve work orders, etc. Hopefully that answers that question. Um, Another question, I did point this out. When is this available? The answer is it's available today in process manufacturing. We're continuing to look for individuals that want to help, need this technology, and help us build it out and smooth all the rough edges. So it's being worked on today at a couple sites. Um, does it cost any more money? The answer is no, not from a product aspect. There is no additional cost in acquiring the technology. And again, I know I'm clicking a little bit. There's no like additional licensing fees to allow us to begin to deal with the creation of this format, and then linking it to using the generic inquiries, etc., to all that data. Is there any product cost? The answer is no. Is there's time to us, to your partner internally, to build those forms out, create those electronic inquiries, um, to um, to do that. There will be time to do. Um, is it available in standard Acumatica without process manufacturing? The answer to that is no. It is not on our current roadmap to put it into the core discrete product. Um, Part of that relates to the core Acumatica product doesn't have this concept of boilerplate instructions the way we have it in process. So there's been a couple conversations with Acumatica people about how this could be moved over, but right now the focus is strictly on Acumatica process manufacturing. Question is, can we combine MMRs from multiple batch orders? The answer is that is being worked on. That just does relate to, let's look at this flow. This happened to be a flow that was created out of what we call super batch. And we know all these batch records are related, right? We know we need to create this premix to put into this uh, intermediate, That's just going to get packed out in a different way. We are working on being able to combine that into one MMR, one master record, for something that's actually been built about across four individual batch tickets, right? And a batch ticket to make the premix, a batch ticket to take that premix and mix it with other chemicals, and then a batch ticket that says I'm going to put it into 5. So that's being worked on. We know that's a limitation within the current functionality. And if I did go into this item, the other area that we're working on that relates a little bit to that question, and maybe I have one here in this process step. Uh, right now, the boilerplate instructions are against each one of these process steps. What we know is that even though we're going to have boilerplate instructions for each one of these process steps, the master record needs to be for, this is a better example, right? What questions do we ask when, this probably doesn't have any, but what questions do we ask at operation 10? Then we're going to have some different questions that are operating on 30. So we're also working with a couple end users with our technology group to say, how do we answer these boilerplate instructions under 3 or 4 or 5 different operation steps and combine those into one record? I would say that that's a deficiency in the product, and we know we need to build it out. Hopefully that answers that question. We appreciate everyone joining. We generally try to keep these to 30, 35 minutes and then have some time for questions and answers. As always, when you if you signed up for this, you will get a recording of this session over the next couple days. Again, this you'll begin to look for more emails as we begin to have some more formalized marketing material, more formalized detail information. But again, the whole goal was, we always knew within the Acumatica framework, we had all the quality stuff. Now, how do we build it into one record? And again, we've made some leaps and bounds. And for those end users and partners that are working with us already on this, you'll be hearing from our team over the next couple of days in terms of the status of your product. But hopefully you can begin to see the window that we're opening up within the Acumatica world to answer that question. Could we have MMRs or like reports, combining all that data into one simple report to avoid all the clerical process of trying to combine all that data? So with that, again, we appreciate the time. Hopefully this was helpful. If anyone has any specific questions about your particular site, just reach out to me or reach out to Abhishek or Sachi, whoever you're working with, and we'll continue to evolve this so we continue to be on the bleeding edge, have a very complete and robust solution for you to do this in an efficient, effective way. So thank you for joining. Everyone have a great day. Be well.